Hey athletes, what's going on? Brandon Brown here, physical therapist and wellness coach. Get your fixed physical therapy, get your fixed nutrition, CrossFit coach, and running coach. And I work with you athletes to get you from injury to PR in 8 to 12 weeks. So I'm on this, first off, obviously I'm not in my normal CrossFit box that I'm normally out on Mondays. We are out and about today, so I'm at a different location, but still coming to you with great information. What I want to talk about today, still on my life lessons, and wanted to talk about skill and accessory work. So those things that I like to call the unsexy side of CrossFit. It's the things that we need to be doing for better performance, but we frequently don't do because one, we don't know, two, we just don't see the elites doing it on Instagram, on Facebook, and all that stuff. And so it's just not something that is done on a regular basis. It's something, and when I talk to my runners, the misconception with all of my running crew is just by running they're going to get stronger. And that is first and foremost a myth. It does not happen that way. You can't strengthen your legs just by running. So doing strength and skill and accessory work, strength work, is ultimately necessary for CrossFit athletes and for runners both. Why is this? So here's the thing. First of all, with endurance athletes, what you're doing is you're working those endurance muscles. You are, or the muscle fibers, you are just working that repetition over and over again. But you're not challenging it in the form of giving it extra strength and stabilizing your joints, and that's any of those factors. And so just by running, or if you're a triathlete, just by running, swimming, biking, you're not going to get that strength that you need to stabilize and support your joints. Same thing for the CrossFit athlete. We do tons of different movements in the CrossFit gym every single day. We're lifting weights, we're kipping, we're doing this, that, and the other. The problem is that strengthens our big muscle groups. It doesn't strengthen our smaller muscle groups that support our joints. So once again, we don't have that good stability around those joints. So why does this all matter? Why do we need to do strength work? Why do we need to do skill work in order to actually improve things? Because we don't strengthen them in any other way, first and foremost. We need this good stability around our joints to protect the joints, essentially. We have big mover muscle groups that everyone knows about. They are like your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, and the arms is your biceps, triceps, so deltoids. Those big groups. Underneath those are smaller muscles that support the joint, that stabilize that joint, that keep that joint protected in all its movement. If we don't do that, we essentially are putting ourselves at risk of injury, and if nothing else, we just aren't as strong. When those big mover muscles fatigue, which they will faster, if you're doing shoulder to overhead, you need to be able to hold that bar up overhead in a good, safe manner, especially as that bar gets heavy. Those mover muscles can only do so much. We also need those stabilizer muscles underneath to support that joint. With runners, the big ones are the hips, and with CrossFitters as well because of all the jumping and running that we do. But with legs, the big ones are the hips and the feet, but especially the hips. When those hips fatigue, we lose a lot of control in our legs. And those deep muscles are endurance muscles, and they fatigue pretty fast if we don't train them properly. Regardless if we're running, jumping, hiking, you name it. If we don't strengthen and stabilize those joints right, then we aren't going to perform well because they aren't going to last throughout that performance, throughout that competition, throughout that race, whatever it is. So how it helped me as an athlete, once I started really working and focusing on strength, skill, and accessory work several years ago, I started really hitting my PRs. That's actually when I started getting my muscle ups. It's when I started gaining speed with all my running. When I just started getting more consistent with a lot of my movements, and I noticed my all my lifts improved, they became more solid. So really, as I started working my strength work, my accessory work, my skill work consistently, I started improving everywhere. And that wasn't necessarily just because I was still going to CrossFit. I was, but I also started focusing more on getting everything around those joints stronger, and it kept me as a healthier, stronger athlete. So something to think about for you guys, if you're noticing you're always in like getting injuries, if you notice you just aren't making improvements, think about if you really look into what you're doing outside of your normal training, and really think about doing some skill work, some accessory work in order to really progress and up your game. So hope that makes sense. I know I rambled a lot on here, and I apologize. But if you have any questions, or whatever questions you do have, definitely post those on here, and I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. And as usual, if you have anything specific for me, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. So hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.